ועד על Tisha B'Av. Oh.
The caveats on first, so we're going to see. Second, okay, that's bad.
I just want to share with you some tradition for me. They might not have had some tradition I've seen that I saw and I want to share with everyone. I know the Rosh Kollel, I understood, spoke last week about practical aids and how to feel Tisha B'Av, which I'm assuming we all have that challenge. And I want to, once you tap into feeling something, I want to perhaps add a bit more depth, maybe, or width, whatever you want to call it, about what we should connect to, and hopefully it will help us get to a higher point. So, if you look at the Rishonim, we always start after the Gemara, the Rishonim, after the Gemara, it's pretty obvious that although we have all these halachas that Chazal are always magir us, how we should act on Tisha B'Av, but it's clear, Avinu Misvar, we would know this, Achmana li and we have to feel it in the heart, as the Rosh Kollel spoke about this time last week. Look at the Meiri, he says, Kol shenoeg b'yom zeh derech mitzvah min lomda, on autopilot, ve'ino me'oreres liboy, nis'ab Yerushalayim, ve'ino roeh b'simchasa. You see from here that the Ikar Avinus is Balei, Telo Yoetz goes on in depth also, this is his Lashon, Avinus alchu בת בית המקדש הוא דבר התלוי במעשה. אומנם, לא המעשה הוא העיקר, צריך להיות במעל בויכה ולב נשבר ונדכה, כעבר וכולי וכולי. So the $1 million question is, what exactly and how, to add on to what Alonso says, how can we connect to this and how can we really feel Tisha B'Av? You know, it reminds me, I spoke to Davidovich not long ago. I drove to Samchasana and I spoke on the way, and I told him something that was really dear to me. I don't know how many of you have teenager kids, but you know, you look in our radio world. Let's put Yerushalayim on the side now. I don't know exactly what goes on there. You spoke about that once, sitting their appearance or something. Anyways, but at the end of the day, I cannot believe that my kids have musagim, and it's not really their fault because it's the society here, of what Adidas shoes are. Now, I have nothing against Adidas shoes. It could be the very good shoes, and I'm happy to have good shoes. But why do we have to have the musagim of what the Western world has? It's ridiculous. And then at some point in the conversation, I asked him, is it wrong that I'm feeling this? That I'm pained by this? He said, afu. The second doesn't pain you, then you're in job. And that's the topic we want to understand. One more mashal, just one of my rabbim in Bnei Brak, when he was trying to show us this idea, he said that once he was at the dentist and he was working on his teeth to try to find something, and suddenly at one point Imam jumped out of the chair in major pain. I don't know if I said this before, definitely not this film. And the dentist said, when he screamed, and the dentist says, oh, Baruch Hashem, Hashorish, the root is still alive. Meaning when you feel pain, that's a good thing. It means you're connected. Okay, so I want to share with you a couple of questions before I start on our way, and then hopefully we'll have time to end with the story and also answering all these questions. First of all, why is it in our generation it seems like it's harder than ever before? What's going on over here? What happened? Why? That's question number one. Question number two, there's a famous story brought down by the Rama. It's hard to find it inside. It's being quoted by many Achronim. The Rama says that there was a story that's Plato, right? Is it Plato? They give it a different name. Of the biggest philosopher at the time. He came together with Nebuchadnezzar, and he comes to the Beis, and he sees Yirmiyahu crying. Now another's crying. And sit there. You're at the top of you're the leader of the Jewish people, and you're crying about sticks and stones. Question number one. Question number two, you're crying about the past, the history. Now that second question can't be taken not seriously, because the Shlach Hadush asks a very similar question. He says, all the Chachmei, not only Chachmei Israel, even Chachmei Olam know that crying about the past is Hevel Avam. What is it going to do for you? In brackets, that's one of the reasons that's ridiculous that the Shloim stand up for the people of past. What does it do? Mainly they say Tehillim when they stand up on Inavim, but stop thinking about the past. What does it do? So we have to answer that question. You know, the end of the story goes that Yirmiyahu told him, we'll get to that later, what Yirmiyahu told him, because I want to give depth into that. And the last question, which is a twofold question. Famous Marsha, you want to know exactly where it is, I have even mentioned, I'll tell you after. Famous Marsha, the Marsha says that the Kaf Aleph Yom, the 21 days, i.e. 3 weeks, between Reina Mitzarim are Keneged Kaf Aleph Yami from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. It seems like it's two different ideas over here. One is feeling pain and sorrow of Velus, and one is to the tshuva. What's going on? Also, we'll see later on, maybe we'll quote some different places about. Sorry?
That's supposed to some it out by the way they
Right. Wow. So, okay. So I want to suggest the following. It's not only me, I started in Ori Cheskel, but anytime you need the heart to be involved, you need to work on yourself to get into the mood and to feel, because it's emotion driven. As once I asked Ozrav Davidovich, we were learning together something, and I said to him, why? The Rambam says in a certain place that by looking at the Bria, it also helps you connect up with the Shvuku. You see the infinite wisdom in the creation. He said, you see that in the Torah. Rambam also says the Torah. Why do you need to go to creation? He says, because a lot of times it's not enough, because that's in the Moya. But you also have to be mashpia on the lake. When you look at these things, it's more the lake. Even in Leila Seder, to prepare properly, we mamish have to feel like we left Mitzrayim. Right? We know, but how do you properly do it? So all the svarim that if you prepare yourself properly for Leila Seder, you know that you really have to work and learn what did they go through from the beginning, and then work yourself up, and then you live. I know one of my Rebbeim, Rabbi Salam, he was very, very close to Epstein. We learned with him Pavusa before Shabbos Hasikim, and during the time of the Parshas of the Makos, he suddenly started laughing. He started, and he goes, what's happening? He goes, that Tzfaldeim went into their ears. He mamash was living the Parshas. It wasn't during Pesach, it was during the Parshas. I'm just saying, a person has to, now, how do you do that? Of course, Shlav Rishon is you have to learn about it. You have to learn about what it meant when we had the Beis HaMikdash. What was the times back then? Of course, if we're desensitized, we don't know what happened there. What are we going to feel like we're missing? That, you see, I don't know if to share this story. I know it's very controversial to say stories like this about the Holocaust, but I remember Menachem Stein, I've spoken here once about this, but this is a story that brings the point home. It's again, same idea. He said, when I send my Divrei Torah, I never say any stories about the Holocaust, but yeah, it says that there was a very sad, scary situation, that there was a family in Shablinka, and you see all the older kids are all depressed and sad sitting, and you see these little kids playing with literally atzamot of people. And they were all happy. They don't know anything better. They were born into that mitzvah. They didn't know it. The older people remember what it was like. So in order to know what it was like, we have to live that mitzvah. We have to learn about it. And then we can get to the next shlav. By the way, Talmidei Chachamim are expected to be more sensitized to these things. Does anyone want to give me a raya for that? Where do we see that? We learned it together, most of us over here. The Mount Psachim, Daf, Nun Dalish. What does it say? That the Tisha B'Av, Ma'akum Shenagu, Aval Talmidei Chachamim, it doesn't matter where you are in a place, they don't do malach, they should be sensitized. It's not me, but they showing you learning the Gemara over there. No time to go.
In this halacha, everyone talks.
Right. We should be, right? It's exactly the point. You're right. But mamish, they shouldn't speak out. That's why. Because they should be feeling the pain. They should feel the... I want to suggest another omek in why Talmidei Chachamim are b'chefen, and through that we can understand what is expected of us. I think this is one of the saddest thing. Well, again, I think it's Sadu Masip, because the Shekhinah is not here. I don't know the translation. There's no translation to this English. The she'ifas for people are so low to them. Just on that one, a person can cry. The she'ifas, even in Talmidei Chachamim, even people that are learning. Okay, what are you aspiring to? How many are really aspiring? I want by this age to finish Shas. By this age, how many people? If you don't have she'ifas, you're not going to realize that the lack of Shekhinah is messing you up. But the people that are really trying, and I don't want to mention names even though it's the Shevach, but you see they're trying this way to remember and this way to remember, and then trying to learn like this. Why? I think it's amazing because they're trying to do everything in their power with the king and others who gave them to try to maximize what they can with the tools Hashem gave them. And really, the reason it's so hard for them, it's so quote you unbelievable drushes and what they say about what the Mishnah gave us in Torah itself. And all the wisdoms. That's what Yirmiyahu answered it. He said, sticks and stones? He said, give me you're a philosopher, top of the philosopher. Surely you have some questions you don't have answered. Throw it at me. Come on, throw it at me. So he gave him like a lot of questions. He says, I don't think anyone in the world can answer these questions. And Kilachar Yad, he answered all of them. He goes, you know, I was able to answer them because of the sticks and stones. These sticks and stones are through which I was able to answer it. And that again, we'll see later on. It's because the Shekhinah is so. So the problem is that we don't aspire. When we aspire, we can, and we know, I'm not going to get into the details, the famous Mesilas Yesharim that speaks about the biggest thing that should hurt you. The Ke'ev Achi Gadol is the Chesron B'Shninus. Of course, the Pamba Ruchnis, spirituality, that is the real Shninus. And the problem is, I don't know if the Kollel gave this Eitzah, I can cry that I'm talking right now. I'm not talking about my children. I see my friends' children. I see the things that talk to them. And I think it's so sad. Everyone is aspiring to get more gashmis. But Ruchnis, you try to be so creative. How many people I see speaking to Rav Monchus over here who has Zman HaKadosh, he gives to other people to try to help them, want to figure out how to mamash get people to want to learn this chesed. And I know a friend of mine spoke to one of the Rashi Yeshivas that are very chashuv, and he said, I can't believe there's such a big difference between my oldest son and my youngest son. He goes, well, how old is the oldest son? Of course, it's a totally different generation. It's so sad. And that alone, we should be crying about, because the whole Gadlus of Am Yisrael is the Tzura of a Yid. It's all about learning. And now, it used to be, as my daughter went to some show. It's a kosher show on the Holocaust, but they show everything in Krina of Yadut and how everyone did everything. They made it too good because it wasn't sure what happened back then. But that doesn't matter. That was her perception. She comes home and she says to me, it's not fair that you're comparing us to them, because over here, this is so sad. This is the emes. Whoever's emes, he knows that. Over here, it's hard because people laugh at you if you're extra full. Maybe not in the Yerushalmi word, I don't know. And over there, you look upon like, wow, full of I don't know if that's true. It doesn't matter. That's the reception she got. And that's what we have to fight about. That's what we have to feel. If the Shekhinah was here, it wouldn't be like that at all. Okay. Just some rayas of what it meant when we had the Shekhinah. The Gra, the Shir HaShirim, says, Achar shegalim me'artzenu nisatchaknu me'ad me'artzenu, shu Beis HaMikdash ein lanu lo Torah. Meaning, the ideas of what we think Torah is, it's so far from where we could be holding when the Shekhinah was here. Like it says in Eicha, he says, Malka v'starei b'goyim ein Torah v'lo avoda. And that's why, what do we say at the end of Shemona Esrei? V'chen anu omrim, achar tfilas b'mkom avoda, shivanei Beis HaMikdash v'imra b'yameinu, and then what? Interesting, v'chol ma'ashayos. V'stem chikeinu b'soirasecha. The Torah is not going to be the same. The levels we're going to be able to reach is unbelievable. Drash Saran, Dushches. Because my Beis HaMikdash hayakam haya ma'on ha'u mekudash, makom munach, לכו לשפע הנבואה וחוכמה, עד שבאמצעות המקום ההוא היה שופע, מלשון שפע, על כל ישראל. And this is the cherry on the top. Only the Beis and Ivishitz can say this. כי הדורכים על רצפת בית המקדש היו משיגים חוכמה, והייתה רצפה מחכמס, והוא כי המקום היה אדמת קודש, והדורכים עליה השיגו חוכמה, ונתדבקה בהם רוח הקודש, ולכן הצטרכו ללכת בלי סנדל. שלא יהיה דבר חויצץ בינם לבין האדום אשר דורכים עליה, כדי שישיגו the שפע of the קודש מהאדום. I mean, it's mind-boggling these things. You just learn about it. You see what the Shekhinah was there, the Goyim were scared about. They begged us to give a korban, as we know, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to the Beis HaMikdash. So much more to say, but I just want to make sure I don't overstep my boundaries over here with time. It says, Pasuk in Yeshaya, ve'anu ve'avlu ptachea וכולי וכולי. ve'anu alef nun vav. So, in Pashim explain, Anu is Mishon Animus. The next word is Avilus, and that's about Beis HaMikdash. So the Shaila is, how can you have Animus and Avilus at the same time? Animus is made to Lefana, yeah, whereas Avilus is not. So he said that's exactly the Nakuda. With Beis HaMikdash we have both. Aside from the Ke'ed that we have, it's presently a problem, because we're lacking the Shekhinah. But here comes the real Nakuda I want to mechadash. For me, it will speak Chiddush. That, it's Baruch Hashem, they saw in Isalanta, Siftei Chaim brings it down, I don't know where it is inside, or Bigal the Masoret, but it quotes, that he says, Yesh et ha'efsharut, we have the ability, להתעלות ב-Tisha B'Av, לא פחות מיום כיפור. So it's the same type of question like before, what does that have to do with the days of Rosh Hashanah? But here it's more than that. You should be able to reach a level of Tisha B'Av, not less than Yom Kippur. How does that make any sense? Where is that coming from? So the truth be told, again, you have to go back to the basics. This was a chiddush to me, even though it's most Rishonim I looked into, it speaks about this. the most bsisi din of Aveus is not just to feel tzar. Tzar is a yichitut. Tzar is a yichititzi lepashpesh b'maasecha v'lachzor b'tshuva. It's mefurish in so many places in the Rambam, and we know that if a chabura, someone, also in Choistani, it's also in Aveilus. It's also the Rashman Bava Basra, when you come back from the Shura, you should be paying, and everything is about triggering you to Lachzor B'Tshuva, because if you had that pain, that means also somebody that you is not 100%, and you gotta work on it. Now, when you put this together, who knows where the makwir is for the fact that in every generation, Kol Dor Shelo Nivra Beis HaMikdash Kilu Nechav Be'oi Soder. We know where that's from, Omar? It's a Gemara? Yerushalmi. The Gemara is in Yerushalmi Yuma Aleph Aleph. And what's the Beis Halevi gives some omik. I still have a question on that. If someone, it's not now the B'Yom Chabura, but if someone can help me out, I would be very appreciative. I'll tell you what the Beis Halevi says. Again, I didn't see it inside, I saw it being quoted in some Kisvei Yad. Beis Halevi says, right? For a human being, now to take away a present from someone, wow, you better really be against it. As opposed to not to give him in lechatchila. Because there's Torah in all that. You get. Who cares if you have it already, you don't have it, it's a yeah? So, my only hara is, but klape you, don't you need more spheres to get something from the beginning as opposed to take it away? I would think you don't need as much spheres to continue a status quo as opposed to taking something away. We see that in London all the time. Nafkia, something is really hard. So I don't know the answer to that. That's in brackets. Al Kopani, that's not an Nakuda right now. An Nakuda is, once you live this Gemara, it's a game changer. Why? Because what's the obvious svara? It's not just a svara, but you speak this out. What's the obvious svara that's true? Because obviously we're machzik in the chataim of Rabbi Seinu, if not worse. And therefore we don't deserve to get it. So we are to blame. So when you're pashvish ma'asecha, this should be a trigger. Whoa, I need to change. It's us that are causing it, or else it would happen right now. And again, that causes everything. That causes the trigger to do tshuva. We're already answering the main thing over here. When a person's mepashvish ma'asa, he's mispointed and he realizes we have to do tshuva. Now here, Cheskel Levenstein says, and this helps alleviate other questions I didn't raise. Because you see all these magnificent, amazing things. A person that's misabel, also the Mesilas Yesharim brings it down, that you're zoichet to kesel Torah and ruach hakodesh, and all these things that you're zoichet because you're misabel. Ma kesher? The kesher is mida keneged mida. Because if once you're mepashvish, you do tshuva, not only allaying just being in pain. Once you do tshuva, then you're actually called boinei Yerushalayim, because you're taking a step closer to bringing it back. When you're metakin your maisim, you're called boinei Yerushalayim. Boinei Yerushalayim, you're going to bring Yerushalayim back. You're on the step of bringing it back. The Shekhinah is going to come back because of you. It gives us ruach hakodesh, all these chokhmos, kesel Torah, everything. You're going to be zoichet to that because it's mida keneged mida. If you look at the chinuch, just what I was saying before, the chinuch and also the Rashbam, yeah, they all speak about this idea that the whole thing is a hechitinsi for you to do tshuva. I won't go through all the chinuch says, mitzvah ish samech dalu. Al ken bevo elav bizhiz lashon. Al ken bevo elav oynish mikre maves be'echad mikroiva v'asher hateva mechayev ahava lahem. It's normal that you have love to them. Techayvenu HaTorah lasos maisim ba'atzmo asher yo'oru. The maisim is just begeder achei maisim mishichim al advot. It's really you should feel on your own. לקבוע מחשבתו על הצער שהגיע אליו, ואז ידע להסבוינד בנפשו. כי עוונו עשיו גרמו לו להגיע אליו הצער ההוא, וכולי, ובצאת האדם על ליבו, עניין זה במעשה הרילוס, ישית דעתו לעשות תשובה, ויכשיר מעשיו כפי כוחו. It's all the same. Everyone, and this is, you'll find it everyone. Now, we pretty much really already answered all our questions. What I would like to do is, I have more to say, but I want to finish off with this mashal. I heard this say, someone that heard Hashem Rav Sharabi, it was a big Nakuba. Here, someone told me about this story. He spoke about it in Rosh Hashanah. It's a very nice story. I think it brings the point home that we're saying. Also in Rosh Hashanah, and also over here. Before I continue, I just, maybe a real can help me out over here, but I'm not talking about Kabbalah, I don't know Kabbalah, but I just know that in the Sidur HaRashash, and in Shal Kavamas, which is something that was written today, is the Yotzei L'Arizal, Reb Chaim Vital wrote all this stuff, and you don't let him write it. And sometimes he quotes his own, sometimes his own things that he heard directly, sometimes he takes the writing of someone else, because L'Arizal made everyone give him his Sasat notion. At the end of the day, Mamish at the beginning of the Sefer gives that Dhamma. And he says, all these kavanas I'm telling you about, the only reason is because of Churban Beis Hamikdash. There will still be kavanas, but it's a little bit. Everything is because of Churban Beis Hamikdash. Now we have to try to compensate for that. Everything. Why? Because everything was perfect when there was Beis Hamikdash. The whole world was totally different. The whole world. That someone told me a mafchid thing. I'll share it with you because I have a couple of minutes before I enter the story. He said, how could it be that there's so much anti-Semitism in the world? Now, I understand if we're talking about the Arabs. Okay, if Shalavin, Yeshvara, why they, the Shitoson, it's wrong, but their perception, I understand them. But what about Chinese? And what about, so the truth is, because we, a Yid, is connected to the Shtoku, we have so much koiflis in anything we do, in any mitzvah that we do, that everyone has a sound, every nation has a sound. Their sound sees that we're messing up. We could do so much better. And we could bring Shefa to the whole world, not only to us. So they're, in their subconscious mind, they're like, yeah, you guys, well, why don't you do better? And that's why every time we see something's happening to us, the real Rabbanim say, don't start that. It's no point listening to the news. That's again, running away from Ka'ed. That's not the idea. The idea is you yourself have to see, why is this happening? We're not learning Torah. That's why they're trying to take Torah away. Always the Hillel talks about it. It's one-to-one. It's so obvious. It's all about us. It's all about how we can change, because we are the ones in this oilam, so many oilamos. We're all the way low here, and we could do. It's like we're pressing buttons. That's going to be the biggest thing. That when you see an oilam haba, that you can't believe you could have done it. See, I personally think that's a shtick organ. When you can see what you were able to do and you didn't do. But anyways, so we'll end up with the following story. Brings this point. Sorry.
The old says,
Nachon, what, you're talking about the tzaddikim and the shang with the big iron, and it was just not.
there's still problems that come with marriage in one. How it gets worse and worse, and once the closer they get to straw, more it's multiplied by the straw, all up until what's by the straw for what we didn't do. All the issue that happens on the growing happened was by the straw.
Right, and also they know their only ticket in, as the Gemara Gazala says at the beginning, right? They're all saying, yeah, we did it for them. And we all know, famous of, what does it say in the Gemara? It should have said them shaklanim and no shaklanim. Now they see the emes. Of course it was for us. Hashem orchestrated everything's for us. But their kavana wasn't for us. Their kavana is just to enjoy life. So to end up the following story, it's just a mashal, but I think it's a gishmak a mashal. And maybe you'll have to turn on me and I'll answer that time after, but the mashal is a Kollel. Once upon a time was a king. The king only had one kid. That kid was the prince, the king to be. The king's side was not a smart guy. He was very worried. How is this going to work out? What's it do with the future? He convinced himself, let's give him one more chance. He said, there's a marketplace over here, a shuk, not far away. So why don't you go there? I'll give you 2 big bags of money. And then you go buy something you think can make money. Let's see how it can, some wisdom. He gives him 2 bodyguards, that's 2 bags of money. Bodyguards come with him. As he's approaching the marketplace from far, he sees in the background a bit of a fire. Not a bit, a serious fire. He sees this guy running out to a skinny tower all the way to the top. Something looked like a shofar. It starts flowing. Within 15 minutes, the fire is hot. He's like, this is unbelievable. I gotta get this clue. I gotta get it. This is unbelievable. He runs up to the tower. He goes, that's amazing. What clue you have? How much do you sell for? So the guy chapped, where did he chap? Avada, he went up to the tower. That was their alarm in those days. So everyone went with a bucket of water, went on the fire, and the fire was gone. But he thought it was the actual blowing that did the job. So he's trying to get it. He says, listen, he chapped what happened. He says, how much money do you got? So he says, he goes, it's worth way more, it's worth double. But you see, someone I can trust, you give me this, and then tomorrow come bring me that. He was so happy. So took it, ran home to the king, to his father. The king says, what do you have to show? He goes, don't understand. Dude, this is unbelievable. He goes, okay, well, what do we do? He goes, we need a fire. So the king gets 2 plates, make a fire. He started drawing. Nothing's happening. The king thought, what happened? He goes, you don't understand that the shofar is only supposed to know one. Someone had a time on me. What do you mean? The shofar intrinsically does something. About that, we're talking about from a kino that it is supposed to moil. Psukim that say the shofar is supposed to moil. So that's what he said about Rosh Hashanah. It happens to be that in the Rosh Hashanah Siddur during Tchias, it is we do just in Machshava or something, because there is an inyan that's supposed to early. But I'm saying I want to take this mashal and apply it to Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is not a matter of only crying about the past. We're crying about the future, but way more than that. It's supposed to be us. After we feel the pain, it's supposed to be us to do tshuva and go closer to Hashem. In a way, it's our shofar for Tisha B'Av. And therefore, yes, we do see a very strong, tightly coupled idea between Tisha B'Av and the whole 3 weeks where the climax is on Tisha B'Av and Rosh Hashanah, all the Yom Norat, because it's the same idea. We have to leverage during these times to do tshuva. I think we answered all the questions. Yeah, we said what's so unique about how do we feel it in the heart. We first have to learn. We have to feel the faith. We have to know what it meant. I didn't really speak this out, but the background of everything is the process between us and Shechina, what causes mechitzas between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Chatayim, and that's what we're doing tshuva. Melee, we can feel it in our hearts. Melee, we understand why it's like Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. Melee, we understand Midah Keneged Midah, why we can reach Kesed Torah, because that's what the Shechina gave us, Tiratzon. That this Tisha B'Av we're able to feel it in such a way, or Zoyke to Mashiach, we know the other moment.